Hey, sixth grade, welcome back. We are continuing our research-based information writing unit. Today is session 4, and we are going to be flash drafting informational essays on Teen Activist, right? Before you begin, I want to review our goal and some tips that I want to give to you. Again, when we write an essay in a flash, it's usually because we already have our outline done, which you do. You have your thesis, you have your topic sentences, you have your text evidence. Now we put them all together in this very beautifully organized paragraph form, right? This structure that kind of fleshes out your idea. So here's my boxes and bullets outline, or my very succinct outline for my essay. Of course, if I look at my session 3 outline with my text evidence, that helps a little bit more because it reminds me what examples I'm giving. So I'm suggesting that you open up your session 3 outline to use today. You are going to flash draft. I want to make sure that you have evidence or examples for each paragraph. Honestly, you're supposed to do a couple of examples per paragraph, but as long as you have one, I'm more than happy with that. Use everything you know about powerful essay writing. And one of those big things, transition phrases. Especially when you're including text evidence, you want to use transition phrases. So, again, write in paragraphs, cite examples from your research, right? Make sure that you have several pieces of evidence. And once you have that text evidence, the next sentence should be, or the sentence starter should be, this shows, this is important because, or this illustrates. Those transition phrases are so helpful because it forces you to give your own thinking. And that's a big portion of information writing, right? So here are some very basic transition phrases. And if you click on this link or look at the assignment, I've included a transition phrase table, basically a little anchor chart or something you can refer to give you some examples of transition phrases. When you're ending your essay, you want to end with the final insight, right? That mic drop, thinking that you want to challenge your readers either to make a difference or explain why it's so important. What did you take away from this? What did you learn? How are you inspired or hopeful to do something like this, or like one of the teen activists that you wrote about? Review that sheet if you're really stuck on how to end. Okay, let's check out where your assignment is and what other resources are included. So again, if you notice right here, I'm saying pull up Monday's work. It's helpful to have your outline right next to your flash draft, right? This is where you're actually going to be writing. Here are my little tips. And I've also included some examples. I have student examples that have been written in notebooks, and then I have my own. This is my start. I'm not done. So I want to go over this just a little bit. If you notice, I put my plan here. That's helpful for me, just for me to literally say, okay, here's my thesis or my claim. Here are my 3 reasons. It's just more helpful, right? So this is my very rough intro. As you can tell, I need to revise and edit. I need to add more. But I'll read a bit to you and I'll talk about some of the main points I want you to include too, okay? Teen activists work to make the world a better place. They do work that takes courage and time. The work is hard. Many teen activists get help in different ways, from adults, from each other, and some rely on themselves alone. Notice how this is the last sentence? That is my thesis statement. Last sentence of your intro always, okay? Some teen activists receive help from adults. Right there. That's my first topic sentence. For example, one teen who got help from adults is Malala. Transition phrase to introduce my example, right? I build my background knowledge here. Her dad almost seems like her manager. He's always there in the background. In Malala's interview with Jon Stewart, so I'm referring to a specific story, right? Stewart asked whether she had been afraid of threats from the Taliban before they shot her. She said no, but she had been afraid that they could hurt her father because he was always talking about the importance of education for girls. This shows that. Her father was interested in the issue even before Malala got into it. Another example of Malala's father being supportive came later. In the interview when Jon Stewart said, "I know your father is backstage and he's very proud of you, but do you think he would mind if I adopted you?" Stewart was joking, but it again shows how Malala's father was still right by her side. Okay, a couple things there. I used this story from my research notes. I quoted direct dialogue because that I'm saying everything else here is in my own words. So when I use a quote, that's exactly copied from the text or from my research, and I'm quoting Jon Stewart, right? And again, this shows, or this is important because it forces me to add my own thinking, which is the most important piece of your writing. Yeah. I go into another example. Another teen who benefited from the help of an adult is Alex Lynn, the Rhode Island boy who wanted to get rid of e-waste. And then I would go on to talk about my example of how his father supported him. I'd go into that a little bit more and why it shows how important that is. That's going to be my first paragraph. I'm not even done with it yet, okay? But I wanted to go to show you my second paragraph, or at least the start of it. Some teen activists get help from other kids. It's the exact same thing as my point two. That is my topic sentence. For example, one teen who worked with other teens to make a difference is exactly the same thing, right? Follow that structure because the organization makes it easy for your reader to comprehend and understand and follow, and it also gives you the freedom to use your own words to make it interesting without it being confusing to follow, okay? Check out the student examples, Williams and Nadel's. Those are from a few years ago. It's photocopied from a notebook, right? I included the transitions to cite evidence. This is in there. To introduce evidence or referring to it wherever you're finding from your research. Okay. The next thing I want to touch on, I know it's a lot. You're flash drafting today. But by the end of the week, so on Thursday, I'll be commenting on your essays and giving some revision suggestions, editing suggestions. And then, wait until I give you feedback. And then I'm going to attach a checklist to the assignment, and I want a family member to go through it with you. So giving you suggestions after I do, okay? The essays are going to be due Monday, and I'll talk more about that because it's going to be posted on KidBlog. I'll go over what I expect and how I want it to be set up then, okay? For now, get to drafting, making sure that your structure is there. Use all of the resources that you have, and if you have any questions, please, please, please don't hesitate to email me. All right,